If you are wondering if you need team meetings, the answer is always yes. All right. And what we're going to do in this video is jump into how to host effective team meetings at a super high level. What I'm going to do is use a resource from our Medi playbook. So if you're inside of the Medi app, you click the Medi playbook at the bottom left of the screen, it should pop up this document. There's 2 pages. One is our Q&A vote, one is our toolkit. Now, guys, in the toolkit, there is a doc on meetings, just in case you guys want this after. There's going to be a doc here that says how to host effective med spa meetings. So guys, let's jump into it. Before we jump into how to host effective med spa meetings, I'm going to tell you guys some things to consider when running 5-star meetings. Okay, so the first thing to consider is who needs to implement meetings tomorrow. If any of these things sound like you definitely need team meetings. You're constantly in reactive mode and never able to get ahead. You're frustrated that you and your team are not on the same page. You are in the dark about the real problems in your company. You're confused about what everyone is actually doing in their time. And do you feel like things are not moving fast enough? If any of these things really apply to you, then you definitely should have team meetings implemented as fast as tomorrow. Now, number two is going to be it's your job as the CEO or manager to set the standard for meetings and ensure the team is upholding those standards. Does the CEO need to attend? Do they need to attend the whole thing? This is actually something to consider as you get bigger. If you have 6 to 8 team members, you have a manager, you have an ops manager, you may not need to attend the meeting as the CEO. You just need to report to your ops manager at the end of the day to check in to see if there's anything that needs to be done. Now, a lot of you guys below that 100K per month mark are definitely still in the business and you're not really working on the business as a CEO. So this doesn't really apply to you. But one thing you want to consider is, consider payroll, right? Like who needs to attend this meeting? Does everyone need to attend? Consider that if you have 20 team members at that meeting for the hour, you could do the math on the payroll of just hosting team meetings. So who actually needs to be there? All right. And do you need to be there? And if you do need to be there, do you need to be there for the whole thing? How frequently should you host meetings? We call this meeting cadence. All right. Now, this depends on the activity in your company and the outcomes that are needed from the meeting. Should they be quarterly, monthly, weekly, and or daily? Right. These are things that you need to decide based on the outcome that you're looking for. And like I said, meetings are mandatory. It's never should I have a meeting, it's when should I have a meeting. All right. Now, for you guys, I would say at the level that a lot of you guys are at, weekly meetings are definitely more than enough. Okay. Daily huddles are fine. Weekly meetings are adequate. Monthly is just too slow of a cadence at a med spa who is, 100K a month or below. Like you definitely need weekly meetings. All right. So if you don't have that, please implement that. Now, number 5 is talent is required to review the agenda before the meeting. All right. And then you need to figure out who sets this agenda. Is it you? Is it your manager? Is it your executive assistant? Someone needs to set the agenda for the meeting, and everybody who's showing up to the meeting needs to review that agenda so they can have their questions and concerns and ideas ready to go. All right. What is the outcome of the meeting? Can it be conveyed in an email? If it can, you don't need a meeting. All right. Consider your team structure and company departments. The meeting framework that I'm going to give you on how to host team meetings. What I want you guys to do is consider, I kind of have this based around training a sales team because I do look at med spas as sales teams first. In order to focus on treatments, you need a closed deal. So this one is more so based around how do you have productive sales meetings to train team members and whatnot. And there's a little bit of medical training in there and industry and training as well. But consider your team structure, right? Do you have a bunch of assistants, a bunch of MOAs, a bunch of nurses, a bunch of consult specialists? What type of departments do you need to have meetings for specifically the sales teams, just consult specialists, and receptionists? Do you need to have meetings for just the managers and the, COOs, CROs, right? Like you got to consider your team structure and take this all with a grain of salt. All right. Now, here is my 5-star meeting structure. All right, guys. So, pre-meeting preparation. The agenda distribution needs to go out one day before the meeting. So, you need to share the meeting agenda with the team to allow people to prepare their updates, questions, and any material that needs to be. My recommendation is we always love to do an opening of about 5 minutes where we do our welcome and we do our wins. I like to share wins from the previous week or what's going on right now. You know, if you guys are closing new treatment packages in the Met Spa, talk about those packages, talk about new testimonials, new before and afters, get people excited on the things that they have achieved. Next 10 to 15 minutes, you kind of want to go into your business overview. This is where you're going to start reviewing the numbers. All right. And updating people on objectives and strategies. So, in this 10 to 15 minutes, you need to discuss the KPIs, the financials, and any other critical metrics that you use to determine if you guys are successful. So if one of your KPIs is how many appointments did we close this week, you need to overview that. If one of your KPIs is how many appointments did we book this week, you need to overview that. If one of your appointments is how many new satisfactory surveys did we get from clients after they left, you need to overview those numbers. Anything that's critical to moving the needle forward, this is the time to overview it and let your team know if they're on pace, lagging. And if they are lagging, you need to let them know what the strategies and objectives are going to be this following week so that they're not lagging. Doesn't matter if it's a team of 2 or a team of 10, this is super important. The 40 to 50 minutes after that is going to be skill development and performance review. This is where we're going to review calls of receptionists. All right. We're going to review calls of MOAs. We're going to do role playing with our consult specialists. We're going to do role playing with our nurses, our estheticians. All right. We're going to make sure that it's interactive and we're giving them constructive feedback. The thing that I like to say about role playing is you need to make your role playing so hard that their consults feel easy. And you need to actually give them constructive criticism so that they can actually improve. Don't just tell them what they're doing wrong in the role playing, right? Without giving them a solution, right? That's your job as the CEO or the manager. Also, if, sometimes switch out the role playing and call reviews for new trainings like industry training, customer service training, new technologies and new things coming out. Those are good times for skill development as well, not just sales skills but industry development skills as well. Now the last 10 minutes is going to be the feedback loop. Now what I call the feedback loop is opening the floor for team members to express their needs, suggestions, and or concerns they have regarding achieving the goals that you have set. All right. This is also the time for them to request resources or support from management. So if you have a team of estheticians and you're the manager managing them, in the feedback loop, they may say, hey, look, I appreciate all the things you've given me as a manager, but I also need you to request this from the CEO in order to make my job smooth. Right. This is the time where there needs to be complete transparency. It's more so, guys, these are the numbers, right? Or these are the goals, whether it's a client satisfactory goal or it's a numbers goal. These are the metrics, these are the numbers that I need you to hit. What do you need from me as a manager, or what do you need from me as a CEO in order to hit these numbers? Whatever they need, you give that to them. Okay. As long as it's obviously within reason. All right. But you need that feedback loop because a lot of times you guys are setting crazy expectations for your team and you are not giving them the support that is needed in order to hit those expectations. Feedback loop. And also, the feedback loop is actually going to be the time where you hold people accountable as well. Hey, Susan, last week we told you, I need you to close at a 60% close rate this week. You are at 40% close rate yet again. What do you need from me to get to 60%? Right? What support do you need? What can we do as a team to get you to 60%? We want to hold the lagging indicators accountable in a public setting because we are a team, right? And if we don't want people failing in private, we want them failing in public so that we can help them and their team can help them. And when their problems are put on frontline, they feel more ownership and accountability. All right. If they suck at closing and no one knows about it, they don't really have any urgency to change it. But if everybody knows that the only reason we're not hitting our KPIs in the company is because of this one person, you better believe that one person is going to put in the work to hit their numbers so that we can hit our overall goal and our overall vision. As far as post meeting follow up, this is super high level, and I don't know a lot of med spas that do this, but like after the meeting, sending over the meeting notes to everyone to make sure they know what action items and assigned responsibilities are on the agenda is very important. Just making sure there's an extra layer of you knew you were supposed to do this, and we also sent you an email after the meeting so that you knew that. Performance tracking, make sure you have a way to track week by week. Are these guys getting better? Right, make sure you have a metric or some type of system in place to look at last week's action task and come back to the next week and say, did we do what we said we were going to do from the last meeting? Like I said, take this with a grain of salt. I hope this gives you guys some structure to your business. Like I said, it's not a should I do meetings, it's when should I do meetings. Go crush it, guys. Let's do it.